Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make some minced beef pancakes in a tomato sauce. So these are going to be pancakes or crepes which I'm going to make, and then I'm going to cook some minced beef similar to a bolognese style, but not really bolognese, but similar to that, which I will let cool down, and then I can put that into the pancakes and roll them up. And I'll make a marinara type sauce which will go on the bottom of a baking pan, and then the pancakes rolled up will go on top of that sauce. More sauce will go on top, and then I'll grate a little bit of cheese on the top of that and bake it in the oven till the cheese melts basically. So that's going to be it. Very, very easy really, but because of the number of different components, the pancakes, the marinara type sauce and the minced beef, it's going to take a little bit of time. So I'm going to start off with making the pancakes, and I'll go on to the ingredients for that now. So I have here 120 grams, which is 2/3 of a cup plus 2 tablespoons based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup of plain flour. I have 300 millilitres, 2 1/4 cups of whole milk, 4 medium eggs, which would be large in the USA, 2 teaspoons of dried mixed herbs. You can vary that amount if you want. And then I have about 1/2 teaspoon of salt and about 1/8 teaspoon of pepper. Again, you can vary the seasoning if you want. So that's all the ingredients I need, apart from some butter or some oil to lightly grease the frying pan. So we'll go on to mix the batter, and for that I'm simply going to put the flour into a larger bowl. And then I'm going to put the eggs in as well, and about 100 millilitres, 1/3 of a cup, you don't have to be precise, of the milk. And I'm going to mix that around until I have a smooth mixture. And that took very little time, but I can see that's quite smooth. So then I'm going to add in the remainder of the milk, and my salt and pepper and herbs. I'm going to mix that through. And I'm simply going to leave that for 30 minutes. And I'll come back in 30 minutes when we're ready to make the pancakes. So my batter's been resting for 30 minutes, and I just give it a stir, and I'm going to heat my pan, and this has a diameter on the base of 18 centimetres or 7 inches, and I'm going to simply rub a little bit of butter over the surface like that, and I'll just spread that round a little bit, and then as that gets hot I'm going to pour in about 3 tablespoons, 45 millilitres of my batter. I'm going to spread it all the way round over the base. And I'm going to allow that to cook. For about a minute. So when it's cooked for about a minute, I'm going to carefully turn it over. And I'm going to cook it for a further minute. And then I'll just turn it again so you can see that it's taking on some colour. And then I'm going to transfer that onto a plate that I have put some parchment paper on so that it won't stick. And then I'm going to just add a little bit more butter, and I'm going to do the same with the remaining batter, 3 tablespoons at a time basically. I cooked my pancakes, and I cooked 10 of them, and I've piled them up on top of each other with parchment in between them, and I'm going to cover the top one with some parchment. I'm going to let those cool down. That's still hot, so it's rolled up. I'm going to let them cool down, and then I'm going to just wrap the plate in some plastic wrap and keep those until I need them. And for the minced beef, I have 750 grams, which is 26.5 ounces of minced beef, and mine is a 5% fat, so there's only 5% fat in my beef. I also have 100 grams, 3.5 ounces of streaky bacon, which I've chopped, and that's going to add some flavour in. I have 150 grams, 5¼ ounces of carrot, which I've diced quite finely, 100 grams, 3½ ounces of celery, again which I've chopped quite finely, 200 grams, 7 ounces of onion, again chopped quite finely. I have 4 cloves of garlic, which I have chopped finely. I have 113 grams, 4 ounces, that looks to be about ½ a cup of crushed tomatoes. I have 300 millilitres, which is 1¼ cups of a beef stock, but you can use chicken stock or vegetable stock if you want. I have 6 grams, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 gram, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. That's for seasoning, and I can adjust that once I've done the cooking. I have 30 grams, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, 15 millilitres, 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, and 30 millilitres, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. That's for frying basically. So that's all my ingredients, and I'm going to start off by frying off the bacon a little bit. So I'm going to heat the oil in my saucier. And then when that's hot, I'm going to add in my bacon. I'm just going to cook that through basically. It may take on a bit of colour, but I don't want it to go crispy. So I can see that I was beginning to sizzle, so I'm going to add in the bacon. And I'm going to cook that for a couple of minutes. And that bacon is now cooked enough, and I'm going to add in my onions. And if a little bit of carrot or celery goes in, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to reduce the heat a little bit, and I'm going to cook the onions for 5 minutes. That's going to soften them. The onions have cooked for 5 minutes and they've sweated down a little bit, so I'm going to add in the carrots and the celery, and I'm going to cook those for 3 minutes to start with. And then I'm going to add in my garlic. I may have forgotten to mention the garlic, but I have chopped the garlic quite finely. I'm going to stir that and cook that for a couple of minutes, and I'm adding it later so that the garlic doesn't burn. It just imparts its flavour, and that's good. So then I'm going to add in my minced beef as well, and I'm going to break that up. And I've cooked that beef just so that it's lost its colour, and I'm going to pour in my stock. And add in the crushed tomatoes and the tomato paste and the Worcester sauce. I'm going to stir those around, and I'm going to bring that up to the boil so that the stock and the tomatoes are boiling. Then I'm going to simmer it. And I'll add my pepper in at this stage, and I'll add in half of the salt, and then I will check for the seasoning later and add the remaining salt if I need to. So I can see that that's just beginning to simmer now, and I'm going to leave it to simmer for 45 minutes. And after 45 minutes I will take it off the heat, transfer it to a bowl and leave it to cool down. That will then be ready to go into our pancakes. And the next step that we're going to go on to do is to make our marinara style tomato sauce. And I should say that in simmering the minced beef, I want to simmer it and reduce it so that the liquid has just about all evaporated. So I have my minced beef and it's cooling down now, and there is still some liquid in it, but most of the liquid has evaporated. We don't want this too wet when we're filling our pancakes, so I'm simply going to cover that and allow it to cool as we go on to make our tomato sauce. And for the tomato sauce, I have 900 grams, which is 2 pounds, of a combination of chopped tomatoes and crushed tomatoes. So about 400 grams of chopped tomatoes and 500 grams of crushed tomatoes. That's just so that there's a bit more texture in that sauce. And I have 200 grams, 7 ounces of onion, which I have chopped quite finely, 4 cloves of garlic, which I have chopped up, and here I have about a tablespoon of, or so, maybe 2 tablespoons of freshly chopped basil, and I have a sprig of basil, or a little bunch of basil as well, and I'm going to put that into my tomatoes, but I'll take that out and discard it later. So the first thing we need to do, I also have a little drop of olive oil, maybe a tablespoon or so, to fry off the onions, and that's the first thing we're going to do. So I've put about a tablespoon of oil in my pan, and I'm just going to heat that, and then I'm going to saute the onions until they're soft, and that will take 5 minutes or so. So a little test piece of onions beginning to sizzle, so I'll put the onions in and I'll saute those until they've softened. So I've softened my onions a little bit, and I'm going to add in my garlic, and I'm just going to fry that off for about a minute or two. And that's good enough. The garlic's releasing all its aromas now. So I'm going to pour in my tomatoes. I'm going to bring that up to the boil, and I'm just going to put my sprig of basil or bunch of basil in there. I took the elastic band off and tied the stems up with string so that I wasn't cooking the elastic band in the sauce. And I can see that and hear that that's just beginning to simmer. So I'm going to keep that simmering until the sauce has reduced down a little bit, so some of the liquid has evaporated from it, and it will be the consistency that I want for spreading over the base of my pan. And once that has happened, I'll remove the basil and I'll allow the sauce to cool down until we need it. So that is thickened to how I want it. So I'm going to take out the bunch of basil. It seems to have broken up a little bit, but I'll get it all out. I've got the basil out, and I'm going to stir in my fresh basil. Now you could actually do that right at the last minute, but I'm going to do it now. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. And I'm going to set that aside just for a short while before we start to assemble the whole dish. So it's time to assemble our minced beef pancakes in tomato sauce. And for that I have my oven preheating to 220 degrees Celsius, 200 Celsius with a fan, 425 Fahrenheit. And I've grated some cheddar cheese and some emmental cheese. So here is 60 grams of cheddar cheese, which is about 2 ounces, and 60 grams of emmental, another 2 ounces, and they're going to go on the top. And what I've done is I've taken maybe just about half of my tomato sauce mixture and laid it on the bottom of an 8-inch by 10-inch glass dish, and I've rolled up a pancake which I have filled with minced beef and put it in, and I'll show you how I do that. Basically I'm just taking some of my minced beef and laying it along the centre of the pancake, and then I'm going to roll up one side of it like that and roll the other side up as well, like that, and then I can lift that and put it into my pan. And I'm slightly overlapping the pancakes. So as you can see, I've put one in and I've laid the other one slightly onto it like that. And I'll do the same with another 3 or 4, and that will be enough for this particular dish. So with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pancakes filled like that, I've actually filled another 3 in another dish. I'm going to take some of my tomato sauce and put it on the top, and then I'll spread that over. And I've just about used all of my sauce there, and I've used all of my beef here as well. So then I'm going to take my cheese and I'm going to sprinkle that on the top. And how much cheese you use, of course, the same with the sauce, is entirely up to you. And I'll do the same with the other cheese as well. And that's good like that. So then I'm going to put that into the oven and I'm going to bake it for about 30 minutes until it's heated all the way through and the cheese on top has melted and gone a sort of golden brown colour, maybe with a few little darker spots on it. Then I'll take it out of the oven and I'll come back and show you the results. So I baked the minced beef pancakes in tomato sauce for 30 minutes, and the cheese melted nicely on the top. It was bubbling around the side. The internal temperature reached 70 degrees Celsius, which is more than hot enough to make sure that everything is sort of cooked through nicely. So I took it out of the oven and I'll show you what it looks like now. So this is the one which had the 7 pancakes in, and this smaller one here, which is mine, had the 3 pancakes in. And I've taken half of that out so that you can actually see inside as well. So they've baked up quite nicely, and I'll have a taste of the half that I've taken out. I have already tasted it, of course. It's very, very good. The minced beef is lovely. The pancakes give a little bit of texture into it, which is, you know, different to the sauce and the beef. Tomatoes nicely flavoured, and I used quite a bit of garlic. I used 4 cloves in the beef and 4 cloves in the tomato sauce as well. And then the cheese just gives that little bit of extra flavour on the top as well. So this isn't difficult to make. It does take time, but of course you can make the pancakes, the minced beef and the sauce in advance. You can do all of them the day before if you want to, and then simply when you want to eat it, you assemble everything and bake it. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed the recipe, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there'll be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.